We are reading the poem In the Street of the Fruit Stalls by John Stallworthy. Let me tell you something about the poet. He is an English poet, editor and a critic, and he was born in 1935. He was educated at the University of Oxford. Firstly, he was the poetry editor of Oxford University Press, which print books. Then he became the Professor Emeritus of English, again at the University of Oxford, and he is also a Fellow of British Academy and of the Royal Society of Literature. His work is basically related to a common man's life. He has published several collections of poetry, a biography of Wilfred Owen, several books on literary criticism, and he has edited various collections of short stories. His poems are again about common people. In his poems, he employs several conventional forms in their sophisticated examination. His poems, they are focused on war, his homeland, England, and his family. This poem, The Streets of Fruit Stall, is discussing that there are many hardships in this world, like misery, bloodshed, war, poverty. The darkness and gloom of war and poverty and hardships, they have covered the world from all around. Such problems, they limit a man's urge to live, to enjoy life. But there is one ray of hope, that is our children. They are a beacon of light in this whole dark world. The children, they are least bothered by the hardships of life. They are living and getting pleasures out of very small things in life. For example, in this poem, it is shown that the poor children, they are getting amusement by just looking at the fruits decorated in the fruit stalls. This poem encourages us to face all problems and difficulties with a brave heart and a big smile, and one must not lose hope. First stanza of the poem, In the Street of the Fruit Stalls. We are going to look at the word meanings and the paraphrasing and explanation of the first stanza. The first word is wicks. Wicks is a piece of string in a candle or in a lantern which is usually burned, and it gives flame. Balance flame, that the wicks of in the lamps or in the candles, they are burning. Then we have dew. Dew is the little water drops that appear on glass or on plants in the morning time. Mandarin. Mandarin is a kind of an orange with loose skin, and it comes off pretty easily. Then pyramid is a conical shape, and pile is to put something in a kind of a heap. Cannon is an old type of large heavy gun, usually on wheels, that fires solid metal or stone balls. And cannon balls are the shells which are used in these cannons. Now the poet is explaining harsh realities of life caused by war and terror and battles. These things, they bring poverty and misery to the mankind. He is saying that it is evening, everything is dark and dusky, weather is also gloomy and wet. The poet is portraying a scene from the street of the fruit stalls. Now if we look at the comparison, the fruit street, it has fruit heaped in the form of cannonballs. He is comparing cannonballs to the different heaps of fruits. The dark dew is falling and everything is becoming gloomy and horrifying. Various fruits such as melons, guava, mandarin, they are put in conical shapes on the stalls. The fruits, In dim light, they appear like cannonballs to be used for terrorism. Fruit actually is for health, but cannonballs, they are for the destruction of mankind. In this darkness, this healthy food item is appearing something very harmful for the humanity. The colors red, golden, they are not just the color of the fruit, they are also color of the war and of blood. The poet is using very dark imagery to represent the dark future which is caused by war. The poet is sad on these miserable conditions of humans and the world. The horrors of war and poverty and misery, they have darkened the bright place of the fruit stalls as well. I hope the image in the explanation of the second stanza will not make you desire this beautiful fruit. Again, we are going to look at the words and meanings and then the explanation of the second stanza. Dark children, that is children in a poor health state. Lanterns orbit. The throw of the lantern's light in the kind of a circle. Compacted, tightly packed. Pitted skin, when the skin is removed from some fruit. Rind, it is the thick outer layer, for example, the outer layer of orange or lemon. This is called the rind. Now over here, the poet is talking about his hidden fears by presenting the scene of poor children looking for food and fruit in the fruit stall. These innocent children, they don't have a lot of money. They just come up with a few coins and want to buy some fruit to quench their desire for good eating. They are looking at these beautiful, colorful fruits with a longing and desire in their eyes. There is not much light in the street. The sun has already set and the moon has not risen, so there is darkness everywhere. The little light of lantern is making the atmosphere more gloomy and sad. And these children, they are roaming in the dark street. These children, they have very innocent hopes, but they do not know that the war and terrorism in the world is destroying their hopes. It is destroying their future. The poet is concerned about the future of these poor children who are here looking at this beautiful fruit. Now we are going to talk about the third stanza of the poem, In the Street of the Fruit Stalls. First, we will look at the words and meanings and then the explanation of the stanzas. The first word is break it open. It means that when you are looking at a huge fruit with a hard skin, you have to break it to open it, and then you enjoy eating it. Next is fountain, which is a spring. Radiant is bright. Now over here, in the third stanza, there is a shift from the gloom to happiness. In the third stanza, the poet is talking about the happiness of these street children. They are unaware of the problems caused by war and terrorism around them. Their joys are simple and very little. Their love for nature has not been suppressed by the destruction around them. They are coming to the fruit stalls with very little money which they have, and they are trying to buy, or rather they are successful in buying that small piece of fruit. They take that fruit, sometimes they wash it, sometimes they don't. And they munch at it, they eat it, they enjoy the juice of the fruit flowing through their throats, flowing through their hands to their elbows. They are making their clothes and hands dirty, but they are having a very good and carefree time. They are so happy that in this darkness, their little happy faces appears like stars or lanterns in darkness. They are forgetting about their surroundings and they have abandoned to the joy of childhood. They are eating the delicious food and the happiness and joy has lit up their faces. The poet is watching all this from the corner of the street. There is a contrast between the feelings of the poet and the feelings of these children. The poet is gloomy, he is a mature person. He can look at the darkness of life and feel depressed by it. But on the other hand, these children, they are happy, they are not aware. As it is said that ignorance is a bliss, similarly, these children, they are ignorant of the terror and battles and wars around them. So they are blessed by happiness. For the poet, the present miseries, they are painful and he is thinking about the horrors and troubles of mankind. His mind is fully occupied. But in contrast, the children's mind is also occupied, but with the simple joy of eating fruit. The poet, through this comparison, is conveying a message that we should try to be happy with little things in life. The big joys will make their way into our hearts themselves.